everyone. Welcome back to our show. This is the Blockchain African Show once again that holds every Monday, 1:30 to 2 o'clock. And today, just like the previous episode, I have with me an amazing guest. And we'll be talking about NFTs. My guest today is Jesse Gideon, which I'm going to introduce in a bit and allow him to introduce himself because this is going to be more of a conversation that is going to leave you being very knowledgeable and also being able to start a conversation on NFTs on your own. So before I go into the topic itself, let me introduce Gideon. And so you just hear from him. So Gideon is the co-founder of Crystal Space. Hello, Gideon. Okay, I don't know if Gideon is there, but Gideon is the co-founder of Crystal Space, and they're one of the major people, at least in Nigerian space, really doing amazing stuff with crypto education and really pushing the narrative and making sure that things are just clearly being communicated to the right audience, which is necessary for mainstream adoption. I don't know if Gideon is here with me now. Hello, Gideon. Okay, so maybe Gideon is going to join us along the way. So I'm just going to go on straight into the conversation for today. So the topic for today is basically NFTs. NFTs and their potential use case in general. That's what we'll be talking about. And I always tell people that even if you live under the rock, as long as you have access to any kind of internet or any kind of online presence, it's so difficult for you to say you've never heard of NFTs. It's almost impossible. I've met people who don't even know what NFTs are, but it's almost impossible for you to meet someone that say, "Oh, I've never heard of it." So if you fall into any of this category, whether you've heard of it, you've never heard of it, you just wonder what NFTs are and what can you do with them, then you really should stay tuned because we're going to be talking about all of those things today. So what are NFT? NFT is actually an acronym for non-fungible token. Non-fungible token. You may think, oh, if something is non-fungible, that means something can be fungible. So fungible is just a normal English word, which means that it can maybe be traded, it can be easily available and stuff like that. You can switch one for another. For example, if you want to buy slippers, everybody out there has maybe the same slippers. If you have size 40, I have size 40. If you pick my 40 for your 40, and we've both never worn it, chances are I may not be able to differentiate which one is mine. Or maybe a pair of table in a store, you can see 20 of it. Everybody has it. But when you say non-fungible token, it means every single piece is unique. It means there is no two of it, but one Bitcoin and another Bitcoin. Okay, there's still an argument on that, so let me not use that to confuse you. So let me just use normal day-to-day things. If you pick a bucket, you pick another bucket of the same size in the market, the same everything, you can switch them. But NFTs are unique. Each piece is unique. Each piece is different. Even if you see an artwork that they all look alike, sometimes people say, but these are basically like the same repetitions of the same artwork. But no, as long as they are minted as NFTs, there's no two pieces that are the same. Each becomes unique in its own way. So when you talk of non-fungible token, it means it cannot be exchanged for another. Each piece is unique. I hope that helps you to understand what NFTs are at the core of it. And NFTs are built on blockchain. They are basically digital assets built on blockchain. And people think, oh, when I hear of NFT, it has to be painting, it has to be some weird looking artwork. Why am I buying pictures for this price? And so many of those things you see in the media, and so many of those things that brings up arguments. When in reality, NFTs can be anything. I mean, from the pen you have in your house, to your house itself, to your car, to your farm, even to your clothes, you can mint them as NFTs. NFTs is basically digital representation of an asset. The asset can have a physical representation. I think this will take me a bit to I may divert straight into some potential use cases, but I'm still going to talk about them elaborately. So I remember there was a time we're having a discussion about I was saying, I think it was maybe the first or second episode, and I was talking about landed properties as NFTs, talking about documentation, how it will be easy to transfer from generation, how you can even get royalty on like past things you've done through NFTs by just putting it there in the contract. And because they are built on blockchain, it's immutable, which means somebody cannot come. And if you're in Nigeria, you will understand what I'm saying. Your money cannot just wake up one day and say that, oh, we didn't sell this land to you, we sold to someone else. No, because even you as a person can practically see where the land has been traced back. Well, this is where it got to this is where it got to that. So not anything can be NFTs, not just painting, not just artwork, and that's the beauty of it. That's how beautiful NFTs are. Sometimes I get so excited talking about NFTs. I think I was talking to a friend of mine. She's a photographer, and I said, "Oh, you could also make your works into NFTs. You already take amazing pictures of people. You can also give them a digital ownership of this same stuff they have. NFT gives ownership beyond what the physical value and assets can give to you. For example, you maybe decide to buy a car, and the car, obviously, you have it already, you have all the papers. But a paper could just get burnt one day. A paper could, whatever can happen to it. Someone can say, oh, we never issued you this paper. This is the fake paper. But if an organization actually has a system put in place that uses NFTs for processes like this, one, you are able to verify. Two, it becomes tamper-proof. Nobody can say, oh, you never came to our store this day, you never sold from us, and so many other things, or many other irregularities that could arise from a typical traditional system where only physical assets are being, where only physical documentation is being issued as receipt. And the funny thing is, when you think of NFTs, you can apply NFTs to almost any area of life, almost any area of your work, from a restaurant owner, and even I was going to talk about my nails. So I was talking to my nail technician. I'm always using every opportunity I get to talk about blockchain education. I was talking to my nail tech, and I told her, oh my God, you have the most beautiful designs. You could actually mint your designs as NFTs, because she was asking me, oh, how can she, like, is it possible to actually? I said, yes, you can. And you could even have NFTs for your customers to say, oh, people that own these NFTs probably get so discount of your work or stuff like that. As a restaurant owner, you could have NFTs for like your regular customer, your regular client, where they probably can access 2% of the price for holding your NFTs, or they have access to an exclusive end of the year event. Almost anything can be made into an NFT. I think one of these popular music shows recently, not even recent, that was like the height of NFTs hype, that was 2021, was selling the tickets for the music shows as NFTs. And even years down the line, with the hope that, oh, when people have it, they can say, oh, I was a part of this show, and it could be sold for even an higher value, because it becomes an antique kind of representation symbol. And you can prove, is this part of the ticket these people genuinely sold, or someone is just trying to fake it and false it? Because all the history is on the blockchain. So you can check, you can verify, and you probably won't even easily be scammed. And you see artists who are like creating amazing work can even get royalty on their work. That's why you see someone maybe selling a painting. Once they've sold for one time, it's gone. But when people also mint their work digitally, they can also get to maybe attach in the smart contract, oh, this is how it's sold. When this artwork is resold, this is the percentage that goes there, this percent, and it's all there, and it executes itself. That's how beautiful NFTs are. And NFTs is not just limited to art. Like, that's something I'm really trying to achieve in this episode, to make you understand that NFTs go beyond the painting you see, goes beyond what a project just launching an NFT collection. No, NFT is something you can incorporate into your day-to-day business and leverage on the features the blockchain technology offers you to attract even new set of customers. I've seen places where You see, if you own an NFT, you have access to maybe a free cup of coffee. That, so many ways. Because understanding the concept itself, as I always say, is the primary key to being able to use it and to be able to also be innovative around the technology. Before I go on, let me see if my guest for today is on the show, so I don't just keep talking and I don't check in if his network is good. Is Jesse here? Okay, I think he was unable to join because I would have really wanted to be able to get someone else's opinion apart from mine to being able to share with you guys. But Jesse is not with us, so just stop on me for the rest of today. So when we talk of potential use cases, and when we look at Africa in particular, I always say that I see Africa as one of the continents that can leverage on most of this technology, even way more than others. For example, we have so many issues. We talk of health record. Health record can actually be minted as NFTs. That's something you can read up on, you can check up on. Or I always even tell people, okay, in your own line of career or in your own line of work, have you ever checked, okay, what can I do? Or how can I incorporate NFTs to make things more dynamic or to make things even more rewarding? There was a project I recently came across, and what they're trying to do is beyond giving university students certificates, why not mint these certificates as NFTs from the universities? Because a lot of times schools have to go and verify, oh, is this transcript original, is it real, was it, so many of those things, because people can falsify results. But if results are actually minted as NFTs, and I think last week someone, one of my guests, also mentioned about the DIDs. That's another way, because now we're even talking of NFTs. We could also do the same things using DID. But in terms of NFTs, if results are given, people are giving both their physical results, that is the hard copy we are giving, and the results are minted as NFTs. There may be no need for the whole thorough process of, oh, is this result fake? Is this result real? Is it coming from the school? Because you can check the whole history of the result and how it got to that person using the blockchain itself. So there are so many amazing things down to property. I feel like in Africa in particular, property is a major sector that NFTs will refine completely, because the level of property theft, double selling, and so many of those things is almost like a menace in the society. And I believe that NFTs will really change how these things are done and bring a new perspective and structure into achieving a more organized, I don't know if to say industry, even in terms of real estate, than we have currently. So I'm just going to take a pause, let us go on break. And when we come back, I'll recap and then talk about some more things about NFTs, and then we'll round up for the day. Thank you so much for still staying with me. So welcome back on the show. This is still the Blockchain Africa show, where we talk about the blockchain technology. We educate you about the innovation itself. We share a perspective on different things happening in the space, and also how you can incorporate this into your everyday life, and in turn impact Africa as a whole, impact our nation, and also being able to advance the adoption of blockchain technology. So far today we started with talking about what NFTs are, where I explained that NFTs stands for non-fungible token. I explained what fungible means because it's just an English word that explains what fungible means, which means it can be traded for one for another. And I made examples using my shoe, which I go to a store to buy, maybe size 40, size 40. Every size 40 in the store is basically the same. But NFTs, even if they look exactly alike, they are not the same. And that means each piece is unique. It cannot be changed one for another. And so many of those things that we already talked about. If you're just joining at this point, I just want to make sure that you understand and you're being carried along. And even aside understanding the core structure of what NFTs are itself, how can they be used, how can they be incorporated into your businesses. Those are the things we've been talking about, and I hope you've been learning something so far. So now to talking about the current, what do they call it? I was talking about the different businesses and how businesses can leverage on on NFT, on blockchain features to build something amazing out of their system, or to make better what they already have and improve on the structures generally. And this leads me to talking about how can a system leverage on blockchain technology or leverage on the concept of NFTs. I think in one of the previous episodes where I was talking about NFTs, just briefly, someone asked and the person said, how do people determine the value of NFTs? Is it just the hype? Is it the noise? And I think most of these questions come up because people think NFTs only has to be items you have to sell or you have to buy, or maybe even items you have to maybe create a project. But NFTs, like I said before, goes beyond all of these things. In itself, the core concepts can be used across almost every industry. That was why I used the example of university certificate. You see people win a scholarship, for example, or win an award. The awards could be minted as NFTs, just the same way we get the physical plaque. So like almost anything can represent an NFT, or NFTs can represent almost anything, from your car to your house to any item you can think of. So now that you understand the concept, the next thing is, oh, how can my business leverage on this? What can I do? I think Gary V has one of like the biggest NFTs in the space called V and Friends. And he's working so much to add value to what holding his NFT means. What access does it give the people holding it? So many of those things that naturally you probably wouldn't be able to have access to him. But if you also sell NFTs, it may give you some privilege more than the ordinary follower, and so many of these things. So NFT, even beyond the company, even as individual, NFT is something you can use to create a structure in place, also to connect you either to your followers or to create a followership for yourself, to build a community. So there are so many ways you can actually incorporate NFT, even not as a business, as an individual. You looking at what VFriend is doing, even Donald Trump has an NFT. There are so many influencers in the space that you see having their own personal NFT. It could be a ticket to accessing you. So it's so important to understand the concept in itself, so that way you can now leverage on the concept to build something amazing. And when people say, oh, is it just the hype? Is it the noise? Is it the media? I always say, I feel like sometimes we know a lot of things in blockchain space, like ride on the hype of the moment. Because in 2021, you would see some NFT selling over millions of dollars for a piece. And because people believe that, oh, this may be the next thing that will make me the richest, or this is the hype, this is the craze, and they jump on the bandwagon. But when you see, when all these things settles down, you start seeing amazing use case coming up. And that's what we are seeing right now. Beyond the noise, beyond the hype. Because some people tell you, oh, their NFTs are dead, the hype is dead. So the hype not being there does not equate the fact that the innovation in itself is dead and no longer relevant. No. Now, beyond the hype, beyond the noise, beyond looking for the next big project that is going to blow up, people are now looking at the technology itself and how they can incorporate it. So rather than like being on the wagon believing that NFTs are no longer existing, it's time for you to now take out time. Okay, now that I know what NFTs are, now that I know that each piece is unique, now that I understand the core structure of how things are done, now that I know that almost any business can incorporate NFTs, how can I incorporate it into my own? It's not even only business, even personally, individuals can create NFTs to bridge their community, to tie something together. So how can I incorporate it into my daily life? Those are questions you should be asking yourself leaving this show, because the potential use case are almost inexhaustible. As far as your mind can think of it, that's how much solution NFTs can bring into the space. So I really hope that so far in the show, you've learned something, because NFTs are powerful. And I always say that almost anything in the blockchain technology space, we are still early in, and there's so much more to come. Sometimes I talk about this and I get so excited because it's like we are using the internet 10 years ago. The things that will come out of this space is definitely going to blow our mind. Look at gaming, for example. I think more than any space, gaming is really doing amazing stuff with NFTs. Because now we have a lot of NFT game coming up, MMORPG, stuff like that, like real games, really incorporating NFTs into their reality. Because before, I tell people, why do we buy in-game assets with our money? And those assets do not belong to you, but the money you bought it with actually is not a game money, it's not a coin, it's not something just on the gaming ecosystem or something that is not real. It's actually your money, your fiat. So if you can take your money from the outside world into a gaming world, why shouldn't you be able to own things in the gaming space? Because you buy these things, and once people remove it, the game can even delete your characters tomorrow. If the game crashes, they don't owe you anything. You may lose your assets. But you see what's in-game assets being traded as NFTs now? Because when you buy those assets, it becomes your own. And you can even use this asset beyond the space where you have it. Because it's your NFT. Now you can enjoy the privilege of your money because it's not just taking your money into a game without getting anything out of it. And that's amazing. You see people getting to win some of the awards because, all those times growing up, I used to really enjoy playing games. I would mint bags, shoes. Then just say mint. I would win. But some of these bags, some of these shoes, they only stay in the game. They're your wins, but like they don't go anywhere. But when you see NFT games now, you get to own these assets beyond the in-game space. You get to own them as your digital assets. And there are so many aspects. So NFTs goes beyond the giant artwork you see online or the goblin you buy and so many of those things. NFTs it's already doing that. Change how things are done forever. From music ticketing to even music ownership, we are seeing it already happening. Artists can mint their works, and it even helps to promote, most of these young artists without record label, nobody will come and steal your stuff. Because if you, let's say for example, you produce the music, you minted it as an NFT, you send to a producer, oh, please check this out, this is my work, I need you to see this. The person cannot just take your music and say you never sent it to them, which we've had happened many times. You have your proof on record. Because if you say, oh, look at my email, look at my Gmail, anyone's going to say, who knows when you put it there, because the dates are not there. But when you mint an NFT, it becomes tamper-proof. You can take it to anywhere to say, this was the work I created, minted even before ever sending to you to listen to. It helps to protect your intellectual property. There are so many things I'm mentioning because when you just understand what NFTs are, the things you can do with it just keeps coming to you. So it starts with understanding that NFTs are unique assets. They are transferable, but each of the pieces are unique. I can create 10 music, almost the same sound, and mint them differently. And say, oh, I'm sending this 10 music as 10 NFTs. Not two people have the same of it, even though when they play it, it's music. And a lot of times people say, oh, why will I buy artwork that I can just screenshot online? And I always make an example. I would say that almost everybody, I've seen people hang the picture of Mona Lisa in their house. But to be honest, do they think they actually own the Mona Lisa? No, they don't. Or sometimes you see people have some of these legendary Michelangelo, like really renowned artist work hanged over their wall. But trust me, if they're trying to do exhibition somewhere, they would never take the one in their house there. Why? Because they are holding the fake and they know it. So same way, when you own an NFT, people think, oh, I can screenshot the picture you have and put it on my DP. Yes, you can screenshot. But can you sell your screenshot the way I can sell my own artwork? No. Because you do not own the ownership of it. You can even recreate, repaint, just the same way people do to physical artwork. Even make a more beautiful version of it. but you don't own the artwork that is being sold by the artist, and you can't resell yours. Even if you resell to your friends, you can't resell at the standard I can resell mine. So anything can be NFTs. I've made mention of that. Like, if you've never heard of it, you probably should have, because it made news when the buyer was trying to resell. That is Jack Dorsey's first tweet. It was minted as an NFT. You know, the buyer was trying to resell some while and the price wasn't all that good. So it made the news afresh. That's to show that even a message can, whatever anybody thinks is of value, and whatever you can place value on. And some things does not even need value being placed on, like the music example I made. It may just be you finding a way to protect your work before taking it out there. You finding a way to say, oh, I did this, before someone else can just pick it up and put it out there. So it's so important for you to understand the core concept. So I've mentioned a whole lot of use case. So now you will now to go back, you're like, okay, this is what NFTs are. This is how different business can incorporate it. How can I incorporate it? Are you a fashion designer? So it is not limited to one sector, from education to fashion. It's not even limited to only creatives. It's not limited to only organizations, like I mentioned. It could be an individual. Gary Vee has like one of the biggest NFTs, and he's just a person with an organization, of course, but the organization itself represents Gary Vee, and the NFTs gives access. So there's so many ways you can incorporate a technology when you understand the core of it. So I really hope this episode has been very enlightening. And sorry, the guest for today could not join, and you had to hear everything from my opinion and from my own side. And I really hope you learned something. So yeah, today's show will be coming to an end. You can drop your questions at any time. In the following episode, we are going to answer the questions, or even in the comment section, we are going to answer your questions too. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you again on Monday, 1:30 to 2 p.m. on Coin News Extra, as always. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing afternoon, and I really hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.